Good morning, everyone. So a little quiz for the students. What happens when you die? Good.
Go to heaven.
Heaven? What are the other options? That's not a guarantee. There's three. So in Catholic theology, there are three places that you can end up: purgatory, heaven, and hell. So there are three places. What happens after? If we get to heaven, God willing, we'll all be there. If we get to heaven, what happens after? Not according to our understanding of God and what He's revealed to us. We were just talking about it in the gospel right now.
Is it like your brother takes back the kids?
What were the Sadducees saying didn't exist? It wasn't real. The resurrection. The resurrection is what the Sadducees are trying to nitpick and say, oh no, there's no way this happens. But the resurrection is part of our understanding of the world, of what happens after death, after heaven. Once, this is probably more than you guys have learned, but once Jesus Christ comes again, the second coming, and the last judgment, then new heaven, new earth, resurrection, glorified bodies for everyone kind of thing. That's what they're kind of nitpicking. So we believe in the resurrection of the body on the last day. Catholic theology, it's just what we believe. And so we have these Sadducees, these guys that are talking to Jesus about the resurrection, who deny that it's real. And so they make up an absurd scenario trying to trip up Christ, trying to put him into a difficult situation where he has to deny something he said before or something of the Old Testament, trying to make him put him in a difficult situation. And the scenario that they put forth is there's this woman who is married to a man, and then her husband dies, and in the old law the brothers have to marry again until they have descendants, so that first marriage has descendants. None of them have descendants. And so they ask the question at the resurrection, whose wife will she be? She's been married multiple times, all legitimate marriages, all that stuff, so whose wife will she be? And they think that this is a way to trick Christ, to kind of catch him up and put him in a difficult situation. But here's the thing. Those men were misled. The Sadducees were misled. They didn't have a good understanding. Their entire worldview was wrong. And the way that they encounter God, the way that they interact with God was wrong. Because what they're doing is they're trying to take God, who, if we understand him, he is infinite, and force him into this small, little worldview that they held. So their God was too small. God doesn't always work in the way that we expect him to work. His ways are above our ways. That's just how it works. We are limited creatures. Can you guys grasp the entire cosmos and the bounds of space? No. We can't actually imagine that on a legitimate scale. We might be able to imagine planets, individual maybe galaxies, but to imagine infinity in a real way is impossible for us because we are finite creatures. We have a definite beginning and end. And so these Sadducees are unable to approach God in a way that makes it so that they can understand him. They're trying again to force God to work in their worldview, to force God to work in a way that they accept and they want him to work. So what does this entire encounter in the gospel today tell us? It's simply this, that when we approach religion, when we approach the things of God, the things of the church, when we approach God himself, we need to do it with a real respect and a real humility. We can't force God into our own framework that we've created of the world. We have to accept him for who he is and how he's revealed himself to us. That requires a certain amount of humility. a certain amount of grace and respect. My brothers and sisters, the way of humility is the way to God. It's only in recognizing the greatness of God and our subsequent littleness that we'll be able to follow our Lord not just to heaven, but all the way to his resurrection.